Hello and welcome to the lesson on travel budgeting and trip planning. So, what's your goal today? I want you to be able to explain what a budget is and then determine how much a trip is going to cost based on provided information. So, I dive right in here. Maybe what I will add up here, what is a budget? Just so you can get a feel for what we're doing. But a budget is an approximation of possible / future costs. So we're trying to anticipate how much money is going to be required in order to, and in this case, we're looking at trips. So I'll talk about the assignment that's associated with this once I get through the examples for you. So, answer the following about the given budget. So what you're going to be given in the homework, all right, is this right here. So you're going to have something that's called the estimated budget. So that's what you would do prior to leaving on a trip. Down below is the actual budget. So when you get back from the trip, you can kind of reflect on how close you were to your budget and how much money you got to kind of save up, or how much you actually saved from your trip. All right, so you'll be given those two pieces of information to work with. So the first question is calculate the amount this person was over budget or under budget for each category. Express each amount as a percentage. So let's first of all get the under or over. So the categories were gas, food, accommodations, so that's hotel rooms or places to stay, and the distance, and even though the distance is tied in with how much it costs in terms of gas. So with that, don't have a ton of room here, but for gas we had estimated $350, so it's always estimated. I'll put that up here. Estimate minus actual. That's the order we always do it in. Alright, so I'm always going to do estimate minus the actual. So 350 minus 395 equals negative 45. So that means that in that category, oops, I'll go over budget, under budget. Okay, so we were over budget. We didn't plan enough money for gas. Okay, food. What was our food? Estimate minus your actual. So, just looking over this chart here, in case you're looking at it, I should have had gas written in here and moved the actual up. Sorry, so food was 210. So when we do that, we are positive 70. So that means that we saved money with the plus. So we're under budget there. And the last one that deals with money is your accommodations. So we predicted 500, and we actually only spent 380. So that leaves plus 220. So we are definitely under budget here. And in terms of distance, I'll put it on here. I noticed it was in some of the homework questions, so I added that in. 3,850. So if you figure out your distance difference there, we underestimated, or we went over budget, I guess, speaking, but that is really linked to distance and gas are really tied together. So if we're over budget with gas, we probably were over budget with what we expected to drive in. Okay. So the last one was percentage. So how do you calculate the percentage that you are over under by? Well, you take the difference and you divide it by your estimated amount. So I'll put that note down here for you. So when you look at it, so percent over under. So percent over under. I'll put this in an anchor chart, is equal to estimate minus actual over estimate. So I'll put that down here. So that's the formula. Now you'll notice I already have a column that calculates the top of that fraction. Oops, better put, losing control of my finger here. So I'm going to group that together. I got to multiply that by 100. I forgot to add that into the formula. So I'm just going to put that in. So we're going to multiply by 100. There we are. So there's our formula. So that last one is just doing calculations. I'll write the first one in. So it's going to be negative 45 over 350 times 100. So it's just using the formula, but that 45 estimate minus actual is right here. So that's estimate minus actual. So I already took care of that calculation for us. So if I do that, multiply by 100. Okay, our gas, we were 13% over budget there. So equals negative 13%. In terms of food, that's 70 over, I'm going to cram it in here, 70 over 280 times 100. So 70 divided by 280 multiplied by 100. So we were actually 25% under budget there. And finally, your accommodations, 220 over. We expected it to be 500. So we had an overall savings there of 44%. So positives are good here because we under budgeted, so that's a good thing. So that's how you'd fill out that particular chart. Now that kind of combines a couple things, an A and a B part in some of the homework questions. So the second one is determine whether the trip was over budget and under budget by how much. Well, you simply go through and gas, which was over budget, was equal to negative 45. Food was under budget, and that was plus 70. And accommodations or hotels was also under budget, and that's equal to plus 220. So how much were we under or over budget? So you just add those up using the negatives. So 45, which is a negative, plus 70, plus 220. So 245 we were up. So therefore, we saved $245 on the trip. So that means that you actually spent less than you anticipated, which is a good thing. Okay? And you'll notice, why is that? Well, if you look over here, you stayed with friends for 2 nights, which you weren't anticipating, because here you were looking at $89 a night. If you stay with friends, usually you can mooch some food, so you didn't have to eat at a restaurant quite as much, so you save some money there. So those are some reasons why we ended up under budget on this particular trip. So that completes that example. So what I want to talk about here is some of the other things that go with it. So why, when planning a trip, is it important to add a 10% emergency fund? All right. So what you try to do is you try to list everything that you're going to use on this trip: food, gas, hotel, park tickets, because you want to know how much money you're saving to go on this trip, and you end up with some total amount. Now what happens if you're driving somewhere and you get a flat tire or something like that? That 10%, the 10% gives you a monetary cushion extra money to deal with problems that arise. All right, so you always want to add that extra little factor in there just in case something comes up. There's peace of mind, you know you have enough money to do everything that you wanted to do. So how do you get this? So your final is equal to, you multiply by 1.1, multiply by your total. So that would be the formula that you would use. That gives you that extra 10% cushion on the particular trip. So here are some, in this question it asks, list some incidental events that may occur which the emergency fund can pay for. So I mentioned if you're driving, have a flat tire. If you're actually driving, it could be any car problems, hopefully not too severe, but you could have leaky radiator, you could have your alternator go, windshield wiper motor quits on you on the trip, etc., etc. Okay, what happens? You get down there, food is more expensive. Okay, more expensive than you anticipated. Okay, if you lose cell phone or break it. Okay, replace. And the list goes on and on. There's a whole bunch of different reasons, and that's why that 10% is a good idea to plan for. I mean, you don't have to do it, but you need to be aware that problems can arise on trips. It doesn't take much for that to happen. So, what's your assignment for this one? There is a bit of homework with it, but then you're going to do a couple things. You're going to plan 2 trips for me, and on those trips, I want to make sure that 10% is included in your planning. All right, so you got a little bit of fun here. 10% is included. I think one of the assignments is Tour Ontario, so you're going to plan out a bit of a tour of Ontario, and the second one you're planning a Disney trip. So you got to take into account how you're getting there, what you're going to do while you're there, how much your tickets, etc., etc. So a little bit more of an open-ended assignment for you. All right, so keep that in mind. The budget's fairly straightforward. We talked a little bit about budget in the grade 9 course, so that's not completely foreign. We're just looking a little bit more, tightening up a little bit, and anticipating some costs when you are planning a trip. So good luck with that. If you have any questions, please let me know.